Hi, everyone. On this episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable with myself, Wendy Batts, and my co-host, Dr. Marty Miller, we had a very special guest. His name was Tornike Enukidze, and he was joining us from not the state, but the country of Georgia. And we were talking a lot about how we have a lot of similarities between the United States and his country, especially when it comes to obesity. So we did talk a lot about the nutrition coaches, the CNC, obviously, and how he's taking that to the next level of trying to really educate his country as well as globally the importance of nutrition. And we just had a great conversation. So I can't wait for you to listen. Also want you to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5 out of 5, and we really hope you enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Master Instructor Roundtable with myself, Wendy Batts, here with my co-host and friend, Dr. Marty Miller. Marty, how's it going?
I'm doing great today, Wendy. Hope you are as well.
Always love this time of day when we get to bring in some amazing people. And today we have just that. We have a very special guest joining us from not the state, but the country of Georgia. So we are going to bring in Tornike Enukidze joining us, and he is going to talk to us about nutrition. Our topic for today is changing lives, changing culture. And so we're going to really bring in the NASM nutrition coaching into action. And he is the founder of Nutrition Academy of Georgia, again, the country of Georgia. He is obviously NASM certified and our nutrition coach. And he has his master's in personalized nutrition. So I am so excited to bring him onto the show. And let's give him a big old welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi,
hello.
Wendy. Hi, Matt. Hi, Marty. I'm so excited to be speaking with you right now.
Well, we're definitely excited to have you. And we know the time changed, so your commitment is unparalleled. But as we jump in, what I want to know right off the bat, because this is new to me and I'm excited to find out, can you share the story of how the NASM Certified Nutrition Coach program was first introduced to Georgia and what inspired you to bring it there?
Absolutely, Marty. So it started about 2 years ago when we launched the Nutrition Academy of Georgia, and our first priority was to bring truly evidence-based nutrition education into our country, to Georgia. So that's when we introduced the NASM Certified Nutrition Coach program. This program was also kind of inspiration for me because, as you mentioned, I have gone through NASM Certified Nutrition Coaching program. And with my history as a teenager, I struggled with healthy eating patterns and obesity. It has a toll on me, both physically and psychologically. So it was always my field of interest. Then later I ended up in medical school, and I realized even though the nutrition plays a huge part in our metabolic systems and all to our organ systems, I realized how little structured nutrition science and also behavior change was taught in the classes. So I kept looking for the rigorous programs, and NASM was the outlier for me. I went through the certification program myself. It was impressive, both for me and in terms of communicating with clients. So the frameworks and all the evidence-based teachings was something I wanted to bring here. So this was a first step, how CNC ended up in Georgia. And still for now, in Nutrition Academy of Georgia, we orient ourselves mostly with nutrition and wellness and physical related sciences then. So our main priority for now is nutrition. I have to mention that CNC, so NASM and Nutrition Academy of Georgia, didn't arrive just like another new course, because we are positioning the nutrition-based studies as a backbone And now we see the movement is rising for evidence-based practices, which I'm really, really proud of.
You should be proud, because that is a very, very big accomplishment, by the way. So good for you. When you're talking about this and you're bringing it on the forefront, what was the initial reception from the fitness and health community in Georgia, especially when you're like, I'm going to introduce this program and we're bringing that to you? How did people take to that?
Yeah, it brings my memories back, because the initial was kind of mix of curiosity and skepticism simultaneously. So Georgia has a strong culture of quick fix diets. We even have our local version of fat diets that promises like 10 kilos in 2 weeks. Most programs focused on like short-term results, not on the root causes of obesity or on the root causes on behavioral change. And evidence practice was not a thing here. So when we lead with science first and then coaching frameworks, it gave us astonishing long-term outcomes. So early we heard like, will Georgian people or clients or professionals need this kind of approach? But once they immerse themselves into our studies and they see all the structure, all the behavior change modules, all the myth busting, because in Georgia topic nutrition is hot, and it has been and it will be, and we will also talk about the nutrition and obesity rates in Georgia. So it's a main topic, but evidence-based practice is something new here. So kind of we are still in the middle of the shift, but the now direction is now really clear for us. So the conversation between professionals and between people is moving from like fast results at any cost to evidence-based plans that will lead to the long-term success. And I think that's a main baseline we are now addressing with Nutrition Academy activities and our marketing and our studies, especially.
That's awesome to hear. So can you dive a little bit deeper how building a strong community in Georgia around evidence-based nutrition differs from some of the simply just offering courses or training?
That's a great question, because I have gone through many courses and I always felt something was missing. Kinda the course was offering a knowledge, which is amazing. But what we see now, building a community, is something that brings change in behavior into everyday life. So a certificate will be a great event, but community will be the ecosystem that will drive evidence-based habits, and this is something that will stick for a long time. In our experience in Georgia, what we see is a real shift by having these studies that changed everyday life. That's a main thing people need when they start to speak about nutrition practice. They can see that nutrition is not only science. It is something that needs to be learned and then implemented on everyday basis. So people see that evidence-based like eating is not just for weight loss or for looks. It is fundamental change for their well-being. And if we dig deep, that NASM program teaches us to seek the root causes. Why do we need to lose weight? Why do we need to learn more or eat better? If we dig deeper and ask question why, we end up in the level that I want to live better. I want well-being, not just health. And I want happiness. So that's a link we are providing now. And this link is something that creates change. So from knowledge, which is great, evidence-based, we are transitioning now to the thing that sticks. So everyday life and structures. I think that's a main thing that community builds us. Not being a just simple course, but evidence-based practice implemented in everyday life.
This whole evidence-based practice makes me so happy, because that's what Marty and I say all the time. And that's one of the reasons why him and I are so passionate about NASM specifically, because when we talk about the model, especially when we're looking at designing programs, obviously we say there's evidence to support the process of us going through phases 1 through 5 in the manner that we do. It's interesting because I feel as you're talking about knowledge is important, and obviously having this information. I mean, I know in the States, we're still seeing obesity rates rise, unfortunately. And so I guess my question is, the obesity rates in Georgia, they may mirror what we have in the United States. I'll be interested to see if that is indeed the truth. But what do you think is the biggest factors contributing to whatever trends are going on in your country?
Yeah, for sure. What we see in Georgia is that the big picture to give you, we see that trends are the same as in US to give you the big picture, but it kind of happens faster, So depending on the surveys that you look into, depending on the year, in Georgia, we have over half of the Georgian populations that are adults that are in the obesity or being obese or overweight. So roughly the statistics change, but it's alarming. So we see the same trends that you have now in USA, and we don't have the better trends in our teens also. So main things that we are now focusing on is, I think, it needs to stand out. The main difference, for example, is that USA and many other countries renown and say that obesity is a chronic disease and we have to treat it like chronic disease. So multidisciplinary teams that are in place, we don't see the same trends, health professionals catching up to the same trends in Georgia. So that's kind of the questions that I asked in the conferences that I went through this year. So when we see the same obesogenic environment in Georgia as it is in every other country, but we don't have the treatments in place, what would be the first step? What should we do? And the question was kind of amazing, and simple at the same time. Then we have to start the evidence-based practice from the people. So they need to learn how to eat better. They need to learn what are the myths. And I think that's where the Nutrition Academy of Georgia contributes. So it has a Georgian-specific layer too of this problem, because when we see Mediterranean countries, we know that Mediterranean diet is at least in the top of the healthiest diets in the planet that will contribute to your longevity and well-being. But for the obesity statistics, we see Mediterranean countries on top and rising. So the question is, how became the healthiest food eating style in the obesity rate so much? So the same we see in Georgia, because the food in Georgia. Wendy and Marty, have you been in Georgia?
Never been to Georgia.
No, it's on my list.
So then you have to imagine the variety and the tasty food around us, but it's quite nutritious. So we wouldn't say that Georgian traditional food is the thing that causes obesity. I think that's an environment that has changed, and the eating patterns where we see Georgian food plus all the processed foods and the less movement throughout our workday is something that contributes on this Georgian being a part on this obesity epidemic. So it's kind of alarming.
I appreciate that, because I just this week got back from Greece and Egypt, and it's absolutely my favorite food. So it's good to know that when I go to Georgia that it's going to be very similar. But how does that cultural tradition around those foods play into both the challenge and opportunities? I can see the opportunities because, like you said, they're the healthiest in improving these nutrition habits.
Yeah, that's a great question, because Georgian food and the culture toward the food is simultaneously our biggest challenge and our biggest advantage. And I will try to explain you. By the way, I will be really happy to host you and NASM in Georgia, and that's one of our plans in the future time. So you will see in action. But there's some paradox, like you see, as I said, in the Mediterranean countries. So what we see in Georgian cuisine is nutrient dense at its core. Like we have lobio, we have phali, we have herbs, walnuts, fermented vegetables, grilled meat. The problem is not cuisine, it's how we eat now. So larger portions, more frying, added oils, later meals, long sedentary days. And this shift is what's in terms of the food. I said it's nutritious, but it's also calorie dense. So when we see the habit change, this way the Georgian traditional culture would be our main disadvantage. But when you see the advantages, if you say that most important part would be to change the habits, then what is left is like nutritious food with high calorie. But when you change habits to normalize calorie intake, you see the magic. So that's why I think that now we have really potent way of changing things, because if we change the behavior and calorie management plus physical activity, it's not that hard to eat healthy in Georgia because of our traditional foods. I'm enthusiastic about this, but also the environment brings all the challenges.
Huh. Well, that's actually interesting, because I know in the States, people's schedules they're really kind of crazy. There's most people now, the woman and the husband both work. If they have children, there's a lot of extra activities in school. So there's a lot of people running around. So being able to have a meal that's nutritious, healthy for you, and cook every night and sit down as a family at the table, those days are far and few between for many families, not all, but many families. So we know what's right. We know we probably shouldn't have processed foods or grab to go food when we're in our cars and eating while we're moving from one place to another. I don't know if you guys have that same situation where to go restaurants are everywhere, but how in your mind do you think that education is going to change the individual outcomes? And then are your public health trends in your country the same? I mean, are you seeing the same things? I mean, education is important, but how are you going to educate these people not to do that? Because we need to take notes. We have yet to do this.
So my guess would be that first thing, before providing education, the main part is to provide education that filters all the non-necessary stuff, because health trends are in Georgia the same as you will see in the US, but it kind of comes here late and takes more time. So you said the social factors are big. In Georgia, we have feasting culture. So fasting is a new thing in Georgia, but feasting is like 100 years old. So supra, that's a perfect example. Hospitality, toasts, beautiful socially experiencing gatherings, but easy to overshoot, either with alcohol or then with bunch of, as I said, nutrition dense, but also calorie dense foods. So I think what the first thing we need to do, and I've seen many programs failed in Georgia, is because we don't see the cultural adaptability of the model. So, for example, it's crucial for us that we started working on to use the models of USDA My Plate or Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate model and transfer it to Georgian culture. So when Georgian people see half plate of vegetables, not as exactly broccoli, but as pchali, that is our herbal mix. When we also did the protein, not as a, not as a, especially chicken, but when you see mtswadi, that is Georgian way to go with meats. When you see this in the one meal, you see, oh, that's a healthy eating in Georgia. I think that's what was missing, but now we are working, because when we are talking about an NASM program, it's not only about translating the program in Georgian language, because we have a language that is spoken only in Georgia, like 5 million people speak it. And it's not only translation of the process, it's adaptability on the cultural setting that drives people. Oh, now I see how I can take the evidence-based nutrition and transfer it to my own and everyday life.
I love it.
That's great. So before we get on to the next question, I just want everyone to know that this episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients, enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access free CEUs and more. All just for $35 per month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. So as we move back to this amazing conversation, can you share any success stories from students or communities who've completed the Certified Nutrition Coach program in Georgia?
Of course, absolutely. Because of our community-based model, we keep a close touch with our students. So these success stories are always on top of my mind. For example, we also are shooting testimonials, and the day before, I've heard amazing story about an individual who has lost a significant amount of weight, even though her main reason was not to lose weight. Her main reason was to learn how to eat well and how to practice the behavior change. We also, these stories that are not coming here especially to be certified nutrition coaches, but to learn everything that they need to be coaches to then implement in their family life. So we see amazing stories about how mother who came here also started working on her nutrition balance, and that way she also changed the style of food in her family. So that's a thing that keeps me energized the most. The thing that you see all the success stories, and it's not so. I would like to say it's not only for health professionals or fitness professionals. We see ordinary people coming here, taking the knowledge and implementing for their own reasons. But so even though these stories are the main on top of my mind, I think what drives all like society on a higher education level are the professionals. So the fitness professionals and healthcare professionals who say, I need to learn more, because we know that nutritional practices are updated. And what we see with NASM, we see year by year, all the updates come to the program, which is amazing. So what they learned 10 years ago is not relevant now, and it's changing. So for now, I would love to see more professionals who admit that they need to get their education at a higher level, because once we implement these evidence-based strategies, it's not only about their work ethic being better or clients having a better results. The main thing is they start to speak to the same language. So the dietitians and doctors are understanding nutritional coaches who are understanding fitness coaches. So professionals are gathering around the individual. It's not now like, I want it my way, I'm a better professional. You see the collaboration, which is, I think, that will drive the most impact in the, on the country level in Georgia. So yeah, that's overall the success stories that are now ongoing, I think, and will not stop.
I love it. Yes. Marty and I both collaborate a lot, especially when I have nutrition questions. While I have taken my CNC and know all the information, I do refer out a lot. And I think having that network of people that you trust and they come to you and you go to them, I think that is super, super important. And kind of along that same information, I mean, obviously, fad diets are everywhere. Unfortunately, they are global, and we all know where those end up, not always on the positive side. So how have these NASM evidence-based approaches that you're talking about, that we know are all over NASM and our community as well, but how have those approaches helped cut through misinformation and fad diets, not just in Georgia, but what you see globally?
That's a great question, because that's our main struggle, because fad diets are the only thing somebody thinks about the diet. So the misconception and misunderstanding of the word diet is something we are still now cutting through, because it's a noise that gets on social media, that gets on TV. And that's why I'm really happy that NASM podcast exists, and more power to you, because you are driving the evidence-based practice, which has and will be cutting the noise. Because when we think about nutrition, everybody has their thoughts on it, and the main part, it's not I don't have information about nutrition. It's quite the opposite. I have too many information about nutrition, which I don't know which of them is truly something that I have to incorporate in my life. And what we see now, what I am not so happy about, is that people who are coming to the level of knowledge that they need to study truly evidence-based nutrition are not usually they have many bad experiences. They have experience with fad diets, they have experience with non-relevant diets, even from either healthcare or fitness professionals, and they say like, that's it. I need to learn now what is the most important. And when we start the course, most of them are overwhelmed about the information, and that's our biggest challenge, to bring the information without overwhelming them, because then they won't have enough energy to continue the studies. So the thing is, nutrition coaching part in Nutrition Academy of Georgia is being studied on person. So we are in the midst, throughout this 2-year program, we changed so many little things that now we see the emerging of the fulfillment. Oh, so the first step is I have to stop listening to the noise, and I have to start implementing only evidence-based strategies, because we know that nutrition and medicine, and especially nutrition, is moving to a personalized direction. Even though something would work for me, it's not empirical that it will work on you. So the question is, if I'm going to change something, at least I'll change something to a more nutrition evidence-based practices, and then I'm going to see how it affected me on my life. Because when we talk about diets, we know that rather than fad diets, we know that many diets are actually science-based, but it's still personalization. When we take a look on the studies, we see that each diet will bring you the same results, while the calorie deficit and the protein levels are matched. So the next most important question is, which is a diet type that I'm going to stick to for a long period of time? And it's personal. You would not, even though like 5 of the diets have the same evidence based on their efficiency, it's still on an individual basis to start implementing them and seeing all the results, or seeing no results and have to change. But we have to limit the change and behavioral strategies to evidence-based practices. So that's where I think that this evidence-based approach helps. It limits all the opportunities that exist in nutrition, and it also increases the efficiency of each step being more profound. And we know from the behavioral change strategies, if I don't see the change, my self-efficiency goes down, and the probability of me getting to the next step is lower. Because when we learn about obesity, we started now incorporating also weight loss coach, which is especially nutrition plus all the things you know to manage obesity. When we go to the psychological or physiological levels, we see so many negative cycles going on in our body, and the only way to suppress it is to incorporate positive cycles. So have the nutrition based strategy, then figure out if it helps you. And in terms of the coaching part, you have to really learn what you are capable of, because if you're gonna start implementing new thing that is not in your level of endurance, sorry about that, what we will see is you will gonna fail, even though it was nutrition based, even it was health like evidence based. So having a right next step is also something you have to look into.
Great. And you covered so much in there. Maybe you can add just a little bit more context, because I think you went through most of it, but how do you get people to actually make long lasting changes in their daily lives?
I think everything, as I've allowed it, everything starts with evidence-based plan. So I will dig deeper if we have time. When we talk about evidence-based practice in nutrition, there are a few steps that you need to look into. And from my experience and for all of our coaches' experiences, there are a few things that will be mostly out of order. So either it will be protein intake, either it will be fiber intake, either it will be calorie mismanagement. Even though there are many more stuff to look into, all the micronutrients, all the health issues, all the hormones, what we see that if we take at least 3 topics that we're going to work for the next few weeks and then start working about new projects, health related, we'll see that evidence-based planning nutrition basics part is most profound thing, because that's what drives change. On top of this layer comes behavior change and personalization to it. So when we are talking about making evidence-based practice actually encouraging people to have the long-lasting changes, we first have to start talking about that process should be long enough. Because the main thing that stops the progress is, I needed more. I was waiting for more results. When we start, again, like evidence-based practice, we know that healthy weight loss statistics and the speed is 0.5 to 1% weight loss in a week. So when people want to lose 10 kgs and they are 100 kilograms, I know your people are counting in pounds, and I hope it won't be a problem.
That's okay.
You will say 100 kilogram person needs to lose 10 kilograms. We'll say that, so it means that in a nutrition basic level, physiological level, what we need is at least 10 weeks for the process. Then it will come all the non-related to the nutrition basic stuff. So life happens. So we're gonna have to go through our neighbor's house. We have to go through the emotional stress levels, and it happens. So first step is we have to get our plan that is long enough to provide long-lasting changes. I think this is the main part that is missing from evidence-based practice to long-lasting changes. We have to talk about the process being long enough to have the lasting changes. And this talk is not always the easiest one, because in Georgia, in my experience, also with my own weight loss challenges, people will want more because that's what social media taught them for the years. So first thing is to change the topics of everyday conversation about nutrition, and having people being ready to the lasting changes. I think that's a part that's missing, and it's still a challenge. It's not an easy way, and that's also what needs to be talked with a client or with your own way of the health eating. That it will be not as easy as we think, but it is possible. So I think, that's thing that comes on top of my mind right now.
Thank you.
So has the program that you're involved in helped unite the different professionals, meaning the personal trainers, your health coaches, your dietitian? I mean, you guys are all hopefully under the same shared mission. Is it working for you guys to collaborate as kind of one big unit and saying, hey, with all of us, we can make this big difference?
We are in the mid of this change, because what the CNC provides is our frameworks, and these frameworks gives either personal trainers or health coaches or dietitians the same evidence-based targets. So evidence-based nutrition is evidence-based nutrition for all of these health professionals. Once everyone is now speaking the same language, we see the collaboration becomes natural. So trainers are more focused on movement and habits, while coaches drive behavioral changes, accountability, while dietitians and medical healthcare providers are handling medical nutrition therapy if needed in complex cases. So what we are building with NASM and this nutrition coaching part is that kind of referral pathways, because the main thing that we teach our students is you have your own boundaries of experience. So you need to be ready and happy to refer client to other professional that you will identify the need for. It's not easy. It's still a challenge, because in Georgia now we're shifting the mindset of like my method of dieting, my method of living, my method of results versus like our patient plan. And it's shifting more to the patient and client and not on the individual levels. So I'm really happy that Nutrition Academy of Georgia has gathered all the people with different backgrounds that are now they are creating referrals within themselves. And this is something that makes me really happy, because the most important part, because nutrition is so deeply involved in well-being and health, I think the main thing is the number one principle when I get to the med school is do not do harm. So try at least not to do harm. And we know all the fad diets and quick fixes do more harm usually than the benefits are, especially in the long run. So this collaboration starts right now in Georgia, and I'm really happy that Nutrition Academy of Georgia is in the midst of its change and driving the change forward.
Love it.
That's awesome. So I get the privilege of asking the last question here. I know Wendy and I could talk to you for hours on this. It's been fascinating to hear your perspective on everything so far. So in kind of conclusion, what advice would you give other countries or communities that are looking to start this? And where do you see the NASM CNC program in Georgia over the next 5 to 10 years?
So in terms of the advice, I would be shy on advice, because I acknowledge that we are still in the starting of the process. 2 years is not enough for the big change, and we are happy to be in this game for the next many years. So first thing I would say is for the different countries is to start with a clear mission. In Nutrition Academy of Georgia, we really know what's our goal. Then start to incorporating like really good curriculum like CNCs. And as I've allowed it in past questions, translation, not only in your own language, but cultural translation is something that is like really important. That's the thing that we're going to last. In terms of where we see Nutrition Academy of Georgia and CNC program in next few, like 5 to 10 years, I would see this program becoming, as I said, like common language of health when it comes to the nutrition in Georgia, because it's not just a course, it's a playbook. It's something that needs to be used in gyms, in clinics, in schools, in workplaces. And I see people who have gone through the nutrition certification program and are or want to be coaches. They are then spreading this language to their clients. So it multiplies in a sense that will have a big impact in next 5 to 10 years. And from that, I really expect the big shift. Culture will be shifted in terms of more professionals being publicly expressing evidence-based nutrition and fewer quick fix promises. Also families seeing Georgian cuisine as route to the healthy nutrition way, not in the other way, to being depressed about the overeating behaviors. What I would love to see in the next 5 to 10 years is schools implementing nutrition strategies easily digestible for children, because we know that many problems could be starting from a childhood age. All the behavior patterns and nutritional misbalances and nutritional malfunctions could be starting in a really young age. So I would love to spread the word, and for the next 5 to 10 years, everyone knows about Nutrition Academy of Georgia and CNC program and NASM, because if we are approaching to the end, I could not express more gratitude of helping Georgian people driving changes, because as I said, statistics are alarming and it will go higher as in any other country in the world. We won't be the exception. But what we could see in next to 5-10 years is slowly building up the empire of evidence-based practices. And I think that's where we'll be next to 5-10 years. And hopefully we're gonna have a few other podcasts like this to approach to the next years to see what has happened. And I'm also really grateful for your time, Wendy and Marty. I'm a listener and like follower of the NASM podcast. So me being here is something that I would not even imagine in like last 5 years when I go get to the CNC program. So I think I'm really blessed, and thank you guys for helping me spread the word about what's happening in Georgia. And hopefully we're gonna see you here in action trying Georgian food.
So food is like my favorite thing, just so you know. But I want to say thank you so much for joining Marty and I. You have obviously been a huge inspiration in your country as well as worldwide. And that's why we love having you as one of our international partners. And want to thank you for obviously really embracing the education, especially the science-based evidence that you're providing not only to your people, but then obviously globally. And obviously, thanks for listening. That's a big one too. But we will definitely have you on again. And here, let's see these statistics on both, hopefully in the U.S. as well as in Georgia, start to decrease on the obesity side and get people healthier. So thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the show. And really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Marty, that was fun. I love having people from different parts of the world join us, especially on these types of podcasts. Thank you for obviously letting us talk nutrition. Let them bring them in.
I thought it was enjoyable, and got some great information out of it. Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, as always, guys, if you have questions, you can always email me at wendy.batts@nasm.org. You can find me on Instagram at wendy.batts13. And Marty?
My info is right here, dr.martymiller72, and email marty.miller@nasm.org. So for everyone that joined us today, whether you're watching or listening, thank you so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, give us a 5-star review. We would appreciate that. Look forward to seeing you next time on the Master Instructor Roundtable.